Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Worship Together across the diocese. Now this morning I'm going to begin, just as I always do, with that big shout of God is, and then a word that describes God, and then we say all the time, but this morning I'm going to use two words, not just one, so listen very carefully. Are you ready? Let's begin. God is hope and light. All the time. Amen. Well done. God is hope and light. And that gives you a little bit of a clue as to what we're going to be thinking about this morning. I hope that you brought your imaginations with you to school this morning because I'd like you to use them. Are you ready? I want you to imagine it's dark. Well, it hasn't gone very dark in here now, so that's why you need your imagination. I want you to imagine that it's night time and that you are standing at the top of a staircase that leads downwards into a dark cellar and you can't see. So what are you going to do? Well, you'd probably think, I'm going to switch on the light. But what if there wasn't any electricity? So imagine the dark staircase. What are you going to do? You might think, oh, well, I could, just like we do when there's a power cut, light a candle. Oh, that's not worked very well. Let's try again. Oh, that's better. Nice bright light. So we could light a candle and then carry that with us down the stairs. However, in your hand, you have got a big basket of food because down in that cellar, there are some people that are hungry and need food and you want to take them some food. So how are you going to carry the food and the candle at the same time? Have a little chat and see if you can solve that problem. So did you come up with a good idea? I wonder if anybody said you need to put the light on your head and you can carry the light on your head and then your hands would still be free. Hold that thought because now I want you to use your imagination for something else. We're going to travel to Sweden. Here's a map of Sweden. Sweden is in a part of the world called Scandinavia. And you can see that it's not too far away from the United Kingdom, but you'd still need to go on a boat or an aeroplane or a long, long train journey. Sweden is a country that has huge, big, amazing landscapes. Massive big cities like this one. Great forests of big tall trees. And in the winter, it snows. And it snows and snows and snows and snows. And it starts snowing about nowish, perhaps, right the way through until February, March. You could look that up and see what it says. Maybe it has started snowing in Sweden already. And the snow lasts for ages. This big, deep snow. And at the same time, it is dark. The light only lasts for a short amount of time. So the children in Sweden, they go to school in the dark and they come home in the dark because it starts getting dark about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Imagine living in that cold, dark place, particularly just over 100 years ago when they didn't have central heating and big, thick, woolly coats. And the people then in Sweden were getting a little bit fed up, and they needed something that was going to bring them hope and light. And they knew Christmas was coming. But in all this darkness and cold snow, Christmas seemed quite far away, and they thought we need a celebration on the way to Christmas that reminds us of the hope and the light that Christmas brings. So they thought about it, and they discovered the story of Saint Lucy, or Saint Lucia. And Saint Lucy, well, what did she bring to people? Yep, you've got it. Hope and light. So go back to that other situation that we were imagining before, standing at the top of the stairs in the darkness, going down into a cellar. Well, that's what Saint Lucy did. She lived about 300 years after Jesus had died, and she was a Christian. And at that time, the Christian people, they were being persecuted. They were being chased down by the Romans and thrown into prison and killed and all sorts of things because they were not allowed to be Christians. But people believed in Jesus, and so they hid. And they hid in cellars and passageways and places called the catacombs. And they were under the buildings. And while they were under there, they were safe, but they needed some food. And St. Lucy, she decided that she was going to take food to them because that's what Jesus would want her to do. She was the one with the problem. I've got a basket of food. How do I carry the light? And she did. Put it on her head. She made a crown and put little holders in that crown so that the candles could be on her head, and her hands would then be free to carry the food. She carried the food down, and she brought hope and light to the people sat in the dark cellars and catacombs, just like Jesus does. So the Swedish people thought, right, we're going to have a big celebration. And this celebration happens every year now on the 13th of December. And if you Google, you'll be able to find some photographs of it. And the girls dress up in white dresses and they wear crowns of candles, just like this one. Now, wearing candles on your head is a bit dangerous. So nowadays, they do make the candles with batteries, and they have the crowns on their heads, and they have lots of special food and gingerbread and just sweets and gifts to each other, and really enjoy some time in this cold, dark time, thinking, oh, Christmas is coming. The light of Jesus is coming. This is wonderful. We can keep going. We can keep going because of that promise. And we're in Advent now, waiting for Christmas. Waiting for that promise. We know that Jesus, who brought hope and light, is going to be celebrated just in a few weeks' time. And we will light candles and have fairy lights, and people will go to church and we'll sing carols, and it's such great joy and celebration that God loved us so much that he sent his son. For our prayers this morning, I'm going to challenge you to make a crown of candles. Here's mine, just a quick one that I've made. And you could make that crown of candles and place it in your reflection area. And as you make it, on the candles, you can write prayers. Prayers for hope and light in dark places. Because there is lots of dark places in our world. Places where people are sad, places where people are hurting, places where people are fighting and at war, places where creation has been spoiled. And you could write prayers for those on your candles. You could make a crown each or a crown all together and put lots of candles round it. Place it in your reflection corner and remember Saint Lucy and the hope and light that she brought, just like Jesus told her to the Christian people hiding, and how we can bring hope and light by praying and through our actions at Christmas to people today. See you next time. Bye.